Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the campus of Trine University. Welcome to the T4 Center for Performing Arts and the Ryan Concert Hall. We're so blessed and privileged this morning to have with us Coach Lou Holtz. Please give him another hand. Thank all of you for coming. We have students today of the Lou Holtz Leadership and Management Institute. Students who are part of the Lou Holtz Leadership Program at the master's level. We have community members. We have our faculty, staff. We have alumni. Thank all of you for being here this morning for part of our spring Distinguished Speaker Series. Coach Holtz generously lent his name a few years ago to both the Institute and the master's program. And both of these programs are to engage employees, community corporations, faculty and students in educational outreach to build an innovative culture and introduce the best practices to help spur community innovation through leadership and management practices, much of what we'll hear from Coach Holtz this morning. The Lou Holtz Master of Science in Leadership is also an accelerated program at our university, which offers students holding a bachelor's degree a new career dimension, leadership. It's all about strategic, visionary leadership and strategic planning that applies to all skills and so well matches with this morning's speaker. We thank Coach for all of his support and for all of his teachings that he lends to his name and to this institute. I had the opportunity to first meet Coach Holtz and introduced him in May 2011. He was our commencement speaker, so generous to come and spend 2 days on our campus talking with our students and our faculty and staff and those folks from our community. And I was so proud of myself when I gave an 8 to 10 minute introduction of Coach and stole all the accolades on him that he's so well deserved. Go back to his coaching histories at Arkansas and North Carolina State and national championship at Notre Dame and South Carolina. I went on and on and on. And Coach very generously approached the podium and said, "What a wonderful introduction. One that I could listen to all day, and for a while I thought I was going to have to." So I've learned my lesson well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome ESPN college football analyst, a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Trine University trustee, and a great friend of our institution, Dr. Lou Holtz. Coach.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Brooks. Of all the introductions I've ever received, that was the most recent one. First of all, I want to apologize for not having on a coat and tie. I packed a suit, I packed ties, my wife folded the shirt, and I forgot to put it in the suitcase. So I apologize for not having a tie on. But I also want to compliment Dr. Brooks and the entire board of trustees of Trine. The amount of pride and leadership you provided here is exceptional. I've been all over the world. And I just the driveway coming in, everything that I see here at Trine, I've been over by your athletic facilities, the student union, is just first class. And so I feel very honored to be here, and I appreciate you being here. I'm sorry we couldn't have it in the spring where it's a little bit warmer, but I am delighted to be here. And I'm not going to preach to you or lecture to you, but I am flattered and honored about the Lou Holtz Leadership course. What I want to talk to you today is about leadership. Now, before I get started, there's a young man named Mike Kovaleski told me he's going to be here. Is Mike Kovaleski here? There's Mike Kovaleski. Stand up, Mike. Mike was my first captain at the University of Notre Dame. He's from Indianapolis. It's great to have him here. Great linebacker. Now, Mike said for the last 6 weeks he's had pneumonia, and I think that's great, Mike. When I get a cold, immediately I try to turn it into pneumonia because they can cure pneumonia. They can't do anything for a cold, so it's the best chance to have turn it into pneumonia. But I want to talk to you about leadership. And, you know, when we talk about leadership, we think, oh, leading the Notre Dame football team or leading the university or leading IBM. I want to talk about leading your life. Before you can lead your life, you can't possibly lead other people. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how I lead my life or how you lead your life to accomplish things. And it's not complicated. You know, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Every story I'm going to tell you is absolutely true. I was born in the Depression. My dad had gone to the 3rd grade with all the education he had. I was born in a cellar by Dr. McGraw, not in a hospital, in a cellar. We had 1 bedroom for my sister, myself, and my parents, a kitchen and a half bath for 7.5 years. That's where we lived. There was no welfare, no food stamps, no safety net. But I say I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth because I was taught the value of making good decisions. Let's talk wherever happens in our lives because of choices we make. I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth because I was born in this country. And it isn't what you had, it's who you had. And the lessons you learn when you're younger is far more important. Nobody in our family had ever gone to college before. So I really feel blessed in so many respects. And what I'm going to talk to you about is not complicated. It can't be because I'm not very smart. I hate to say this, but I was in the lower third of my high school graduating class. If it was not for people like me, there was no upper half of the class. I was at the bottom. But I was in the upper half of the lower third, if that impresses you. I wasn't a good athlete. I loved golf. Not very good, but living in Orlando was paired with Arnold Palmer one day in the men's shootout. I was so nervous. I played so poorly. We lost money. In the locker room, I said, "Gee, Arnie, I'm sorry. I never played that bad before." He said, "Oh, you played before, have you?" So I am just a simple individual that keeps life simple. See, don't complicate life. Do you realize there are only 5 colors of the rainbow? But look what Michelangelo did with those 5 colors. There's only 7 musical notes. Look what Beethoven did with those 7 musical notes. There are only 10 numbers. Look what Bernie Madoff did with those 10 numbers. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be simple. And I try to keep life simple. But if you're going to be a leader, there's only a couple things you need to do. And I mean this sincerely. You have to have a vision where you want to go, and you have to have a plan. That's all. A vision where you're going to go and a plan of how you're going to get there. We complicate life. We think it is. No. What's your vision? I compliment Dr. Brooks on the vision he has here at Trine. You see the improvements going on. When I went to the University of Notre Dame, his father, Hesberg, said, "I can name you the head coach at Notre Dame. I can announce to the world you're the head coach. I cannot announce you're the leader." He said, "I can give you titles because titles come from above. But the people below will determine if you're the leader or not." I walk in that first team meeting about every place I've been. And I said to him, "I know if you had no choice in who you wanted to hire as a coach. Because if you did, you would not have picked me. I know that. Everybody hears how tough and disciplinary. I know you would not pick me. I understand that. And you had no choice. But I want you to understand I had a choice, and I chose to be with you because I think we can do something great." And it's having a vision of where you want to go. When I went to Notre Dame, I had a vision of where we wanted to go and a plan of how we're going to get there. And that's all it is, having a vision. Having a vision is nothing more than having goals and dreams and ambitions. I never had any goals growing up. The only thing I ever wanted to be was a garbage collector. And the reason I wanted to do that because they only worked on Tuesdays. So that's a good deal. You work 1 day a week. And then I just sort of fumbled along. Nobody had ever gone to college. Nobody had ever accomplished much. And all of a sudden, I end up at South Carolina as an assistant coach under a guy by the name of Marvin Bass. My wife was 8 months pregnant with our 3rd child. We spent every cent we had in the bank for a down payment on a home. I am there 1 month. 1 month. I get up on a Monday morning. The headline of the paper reads, "Marvin Bass resigns." I said to my wife, "I wonder if he's related to my coach." An hour later, I'm unemployed. They hired Paul Diesel. I don't know Paul Diesel, don't know anybody in South Carolina. I'm not retained. I'm out of a job. But nobody knew me at South Carolina. Nobody recommended me. I'm out of a job. And after my wife gave birth to Kevin, who's now a lawyer, when he got out of Notre Dame Law School, I said, "What's the most important thing you learned in law school?" He said, "If somebody's going to go to jail, make sure it's your client, not you." I said, Good advice, son. Don't forget that. But then my wife went to work as an x-ray technician, which was her chosen field. I was a stay-at-home dad, feeling defeated. And I never read before, but she bought me a book, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. And one day when the children were taking a nap, I got out a paper and pencil like the book asked me to do. I made 5 columns. Column number 1 was things I wanted to accomplish as a husband and a father. I want to pause here and say, if you want some great advice, listen to your spouse. Nobody knows you any better, loves you any more, wants to see you succeed any more, be any more honest with you. My wife's my best friend. I remember we won the national championship at Ohio State. And Ohio National Bank had a billboard at the entrance to the airport that said, behind every successful man stands a very surprised mother-in-law. That's true in my case, but it may be true in yours as well. Most important advice I ever got as a father, always make sure those children know how much you love their mother. More important than loving them. My greatest accomplishment is not coaching, not speaking, not TV. My greatest accomplishment by far is my family. Column number 2 was things I want to accomplish religiously. God's very important in my life, but I don't preach it and I don't lecture it. But I hope the way I live my life reflects the faith I have in God. Oh, we all have that foxhole religion. A guy has a very important meeting and he can't find a parking place and he panics and he looks up at heaven and says, God, you help me find a parking place and I'll go to church every Sunday the rest of my life and I'll give up all booze. Just then, miraculously, a parking space opened up. He looked up at heaven and said, forget it, God, I found one on my own. You know, it's mentality. Column number 3 was things I wanted to accomplish financially. Column number 4 was things I wanted to do professionally. I wanted to become a head coach. I wanted to coach at Notre Dame. I wanted to win a national championship. I wanted to be admitted into the Hall of Fame. Column number 5 was things I wanted to do for excitement. First thing I put down, I wanted to jump out of an airplane because I was an officer in the Army. And I was at Fort Benning, Fort Campbell. And I'd watch them. And then I wanted to land on an aircraft carrier. I wanted to go on a submarine. I wanted to be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I wanted to learn how to do magic. I wanted to make a hole in one. I wanted to go to the White House for dinner. I wanted to visit with the Pope. I wanted to go to Pamplona and run with the bulls with a slower person. And true story. I had 107 of them. My wife came home and said, honey, here's 107. We're going to do them all. And she said, gee, that's great. Why don't we get a job? So we made 108. Now those 108, we have done 102 things. I've done everything I mentioned except run with the bulls. My youngest son has done that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's having a vision where you want to go, what you want to do, and with your own life. In those 5 areas, your personal life, your religious life, financially, professionally, and excitement. You know, the reason I was an officer in the Army, I said, you know, last summer I went to Afghanistan for 8 days visiting the troops up in the mountains, etc. And tremendous experience. Learned so much in the military. The country would be better off if everybody had to spend a year in the military. But one time I had a football player say to me, I'm tired of everybody telling me what to do. I'm going to join the Marines. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? But it's just having goals. But remember the word win. What's important now? Decide what you want to do with your life. What's important now? Ask yourself 25 times a day, what's important now? Evaluate the past, focus on the future, tell you what you have to do in the present. You want to win a championship? You wake up in the morning, what's important now? Get out of bed. What's important now? Eat breakfast, need your strength. What's important now? Go to class, sit in the front row. You're in the weight room, you want to win a championship. What's important now? To get stronger, not because somebody's looking, not because somebody's going to applaud. It's just you know that's what you have to do. You're out Saturday night and there's booze and drugs and sex and heroin. You want to win a championship? What's important now? You better avoid that situation immediately. See, ladies and gentlemen, decide what you want to do. And ask yourself what's important now, because it'll evaluate the past, focus on the future, tell you what you have to do in the present. You need 4 things in your life always. If you don't have these 4 things, I don't care what age you are, you're going to find a void in your life. Everybody needs something to do. Everybody needs someone to love. Everybody needs someone to believe in, but everybody needs something to hope for. And having something to hope for is a vision where you want to go. And don't make the mistake I made. I've done a lot of dumb things, but I learned from them. Let me tell you the dumbest thing I've ever done. I went to the University of Notre Dame. We took a program on the bottom. Miami had beaten us 58-6 in the last game before I got there. We took that program on the bottom. We took it to the very top. For 9 straight years, we went to a January 1 bowl, the sugar, the cotton, the orange, or the fiesta. Nobody's done it before. Nobody's done it since. We went into November, 9 straight years with a chance to win a championship. We took that program on top, and we maintained it. It's the dumbest thing I've ever done. Because their whole life, it said you're either growing or you're dying. The tree's either growing or it's dying. So is grass, so is a marriage, so is a business, so is a person. Doesn't have a thing to do with age. I'm so old now, my birthday candles cost more than a cake. But it has everything to do, are we trying to get better? We went to Notre Dame, we took that program on board, we took it to the top, and we maintained it. We finished second in the country at Notre Dame. And you know what everybody called me? An idiot. That idiot finished second. Guy finishes last in medical school, they call him doctor. It doesn't seem fair. But what happened at Notre Dame, you get on top and you say, you know, this is pretty good. We're having great success. Let's not risk it. Let's not jeopardize. Let's not change it. Let's maintain. And anytime you maintain any phase of your life, you're going to find that you get bored. You have no reason to celebrate. You never come up with any new ideas. When I left Notre Dame, I never thought I'd coach again. Where to go from Notre Dame? According to my mother, you go directly to heaven. You sit by the Pope. You don't coach anymore. And then I went to live in a town where the average age is deceased. And what I found out, I wasn't tired of coaching. I was tired of maintaining. And that's why it's so important to have a vision where you want to go. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. It doesn't matter where you are. It's where you want to go to get there. And I really believe this. We want to talk about leading our lives. Yeah, that same thing I'm going to talk about leading your personal life applies to leading an IBM or a football team. But first of all, you have to have a vision where you want to go. And a vision is where, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how poor you are. It doesn't matter how down you are. It doesn't matter how desolate you are. And yet it doesn't matter if nobody else believes in you. You can succeed when no one believes in you. You have no chance to succeed if you do not believe in yourself. And that's why number one's a vision. Now I want to give you a plan. And this plan is foolproof. Ladies and gentlemen, this plan has never failed me in my entire life of how to be a leader. There's only 3 rules. I'm going to give you 3 rules. You don't need any more rules than this. We have federal laws, county laws, state laws, corporate laws, bylaws, in-laws, and outlaws. We only need 3 laws. Law number 1, do what's right. Do what's right and avoid what's wrong. You have any doubt, get out the Bible. I think it's right to be honest, right to be on time, right to be loyal. I think it's wrong to practice sexism, racism, spousal abuse. I think it's wrong to find a teammate's wallet before he lost it. That's called stealing. See? I also think it's right to have the proper attitude. Ladies and gentlemen, we take for granted how important the attitude we have towards things. I think attitude's a choice you make. God gave you a lot of powers. You have the power to love, to think, create, to imagine, to plan. But the greatest power you have is the power to choose. You can choose to act or procrastinate, believe or doubt, pray or curse, help or heal. But you choose also whether you're going to succeed or fail, but you choose your attitude, and that's more important than anything else. The attitude. What's your attitude when you have adversity? Let me tell you what happened my first year at the University of South Carolina. My wife had her second major cancer surgery. They gave her 10% chance to live. She had 13 hours of surgery, 83 radiation treatments. Her weight went from 129 to 89. And I'm happy to report she's doing well now. I don't pray for her anymore. I pray to her. She's a saint. But my son Skip went into a coma the week we played Georgia. My mother died the Friday before we played Florida. I'm on a school airplane for 3 days recruiting. We landed at Lady Island Airport. The pilot said, Coach, will you visit Darnell, Washington? Go fly 11 miles to Hilton Head to get gas. We'll come back and get you. During that 11-mile flight, the plane crashed. One pilot was killed instantly. The other seriously injured, later died. We lost every football game we played that year. We went 0-11. And I had a kicker that said, I can't kick when you're watching. He explained, you're going to be at the games. That's part of the contract. Now, we're 0-11 that year, but records could be deceiving. We really weren't as good as our record would lead you to believe. You talk about everybody bitching and moaning, he's too old, the game passed by, you can't win in South Carolina, all the things. I'm at an airport after that first year, and I'll never forget a guy who come up and said, anybody tell you look like Lou Holtz? I said, happens to me all the time. He said, really makes you mad, doesn't it? You got two choices. You're down, you stay down, or you pick yourself up. I can't begin to tell you how many times I got down on my knees and I prayed for the courage. When I walked into a staff meeting, I walked into a team meeting. And my attitude would be one that I had a vision where we're going and a plan how we're going to get there. See, ladies and gentlemen, nobody may believe in you. But you got to believe in yourself, and you have to understand you're going to get knocked down. But when you decide what you want to do, you better ask yourself a couple of these questions. What price are you willing to pay in order to do that? I want to be a professional golfer. Okay, what price are you willing to pay to do it? Are you willing to pay for lessons? You're willing to pay for your time and your effort? What price are you willing to pay to do that? Number two, you better ask yourself, what talents and skills do I have to acquire in order to do that? Well, I got to chip better, putt better, whatever. Point number three, what problems and obstacles am I going to have to overcome in order to get that done? The fourth thing is, who am I going to have to work with in order to get it done? Yes, those simple questions. But it goes back to having a vision where you want to go and the attitude and how you approach life. And yet 12 months later, South Carolina had the second greatest turnaround in the history of NCAA football. We went from the longest losing streak to finish 17th in the country and beat Ohio State the following year in a bowl game. Following year, we finished 11th in the country, beat them again. The point is, you're going to get knocked down. That happens. But the attitude we have. Mike, you remember my first year? I go to Notre Dame. I said, we aren't going to win because I'm here anymore. You're going to change a flat tire by changing the driver. We'll start winning the minute you get rid of all the excuses why you can't. Our first game we played University of Michigan. Jim Harbaugh is the quarterback. We outplayed them. We had 550 yards. They had 300. And Harbaugh hits a fade. We drive back down. Joel Williams catches a pass in the end zone. They ruled it out of the end zone. And then we miss a little field goal, and we end up losing. You go in the locker room, and everybody's bitching and moaning at one another. First thing they said was Coach Holtz made some bad calls. Then they said the official made some bad calls. Now, that is true. He did make some bad. Next week, we go up and we play Michigan State. We're getting beat a couple of minutes ago in the game. I called timeout. We have the ball on their 25-yard line. I called them over. I said, man, we're going to score a touchdown. We're going to run right 324 SXP pass. Now, I understand that means absolutely nothing to you. What I did not realize at the time was it meant absolutely nothing to our quarterback either. He threw an interception. Todd Crum picked it off. We lose. The whole year went that way. Finally, our last game, we're playing Southern Cal out there, our arch rival. Rodney Pete's our quarterback. They have a good team. We're getting beat 30-20. 11 minutes to go in the game. They have 4th and 5 on their own at midfield. They go into punt formation. The only chance we have to win is put on a punt block. We put on the punt rush. We did not block the punt, but we were successful in roughing the punter. Now, the young man who roughed the punter happened to be my wife's son, Skip. After the game, the media said, what'd you think when your son roughed the punter? I said, I now understand why certain species of animals devour their young, but they got a first down, went ahead 37-20 with 9 minutes to go. For the first time since I was at Notre Dame, had a group of people who were tired of losing. And I noticed it when we got in a huddle, they said, enough's enough, we're going to run this back. You get your man, I'll get my man. Made a commitment. Tim Brown ran back, set up a touchdown. Then defense said, we're going to stop them. They did in 9 minutes. We scored 18 points to win the football game 38-37. Not because of coaching. Because a group of young people stopped making excuses about why we can't do something. That's why I said when we win a championship, it was that 1986 football team that set the standard and the tempo about we find a way. From that time on, we won well over 80% of our games and went to all the bowl games because it goes back to the attitude we have. And have fun with what you're doing. It's wrong to feel like, oh, I got to do it. No matter what you're doing, have fun doing it because people are going to have fun being around you. Every day I walked out on the practice field, first thing I said, boy, what a great day to work, and I meant it. If you're excited to be there, other people are excited to see you. People say, do you have fun doing TV? Not really. I'm up there in Bristol, Connecticut, 15 minutes from Hartford by telephone. It's in the middle of nowhere. I'm on there with a guy named Mark May, beautiful guy, wonderful guy. But we have a difference of opinion. He was a player, I was a coach. He made suggestions, I made decisions. He showered after work, I showered before work. He signed a paycheck on the back, I signed it on the front. You know, we have a difference of opinion. But no matter when they turn that red light on, I'm going to have fun being there. It's amazing how much for 10 years, now I'm retiring now, I'm not doing it anymore. I want people to ask me why you're leaving rather than when are you leaving, but it doesn't mean you don't do dumb things. I got on there one time, called it University of Auburn. Next week, I had to get on and apologize. I said, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Many of you wrote and told me it's Auburn University. I said, University of Auburn, I'm a quick learner. You wrote me. I won't make the mistake again, so please don't write anymore. I got the message. And then turned to Reese Davis and said, Reese, I had no idea that many people from Auburn could write. You want to talk about nasties, eh? And I got to be honest, on times I have lied on TV. We're on TV, Mark May said something about my golf game. I said, I want you to know I'm the best golfer at Lake Nona. And some of the people at Lake Nona are Graham McDowell, Henry Stinson, Ian Poulter, Justin Rhodes, professional golfers. I get back the next day, and boy, everybody in the Cubs all like, you lied, you're a terrible golfer. I said, let me tell you something. 300 members of this club know I lied. 300 million people think I'm a hell of a golfer. So like those odds. So. And you can't let other people control your attitude. You know, what's really amazing. Several years ago, we're going to take Florida, we're going down to play Florida in the Sugar Bowl. That's when Jerome Bettis ran wild. And what a wonderful young man. But, you know, nobody thought we could win the game. We're an underdog. I felt we would. Sent the football team home because I always wanted to be home Christmas Eve. And during those 2 days, I took my wife, my 4 children to Orlando. We go out to dinner. And I'm never happier than when I'm with my 4 children. We have 4 children. They're all girls but 2. And I'm real proud of that fact. We're out, and I'm in a great mood. And the waiter came up, and he said, you're Lou Holtz, head coach of Notre Dame, aren't you? And I said, yes, sir. And I took out my pen thinking he wanted an autograph. I'll never forget, he said, Coach, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between Notre Dame Cheerios? I said, I don't have a clue. He said, Cheerios belong to the bowl, Notre Dame doesn't. You know, and that bothers you. And, you know, my wife said, you're going to let somebody you never met before, never going to see again, doesn't care a thing about you, ruin the evening with your family because something stupid he said. And we let this happen all the time. We let somebody say something that doesn't have a thing to do with our life, and we aren't going to see him. And she was absolutely right. My attitude changed. And a little bit later, I called him back over, and I said, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between Lou Holtz and Golf Pro? He said, I don't have a clue. I said, a Golf Pro gives tips, which he found out when the meal was over on giving tips. But just having a faith and a belief. So what I say is just do the right thing. Rule number 2, do everything to the best of your ability with the time allotted. Ladies and gentlemen, not everybody can be All-American. Not everybody can be first team. Everybody can be the best you're capable of being. Say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care whether you're in business or et cetera. Let's always understand what we're trying to do. Let's not complicate life. As a football coach, I had 2 mandates, graduate and win. That's all. Graduate and win. You have 2 mandates if you're in business. Satisfy the customer, make a profit. That's all. My job was to put them in the pros not too long. Graduate and win. And what do we have to do to graduate and win? Period. We complicate it. And I try to use common sense. I don't know why we call common sense because it's so seldom used. It's not common anymore. But this story is basically true, but I will embellish it. Had a nun named Sister Mary Harriet who disliked me. And in the 7th grade, I was always asked her a question she couldn't answer. Why did Paul keep writing the Corinthians when they never wrote them back? I just don't understand. Then I was asked her a question she couldn't answer. I wish the apostles had been ranchers rather than fishermen. That's why we had to eat fish on Friday, and I don't like fish. I wish that somebody said, well, were you a vegetarian? Vegetarian is an old Indian word which stood for bad hunter. So if we just simplify our life and what we're trying to do. Satisfy the customer, make a profit, or graduate and win. Every choice you make has to do with that. And if you're going to do that, I think it's absolutely essential that you work with other people. To be the very best, you have to work with other people. I'm in South Carolina that first year. We lost 0-11. About January 28th, I said, I want you to meet me in the stadium tonight at 10:30. They showed up. They weren't very happy campers. Had a huge rope area. I said, give me the strongest 15 offense, 15 defense. Immediately had a tug of war. The offense started to win pretty soon the defense. Because the defense didn't have 15 anymore. They had 20. Pretty soon they had the whole team involved in the tug of war. The offense eventually won. They give it, yeah, we won. I said, we can't win when we pull against each other. It's the last time. I then sat him down the middle of the field and talked about some things on teamwork that apply to life. Number one, we need each other. We need offense, defense, kicking game. There's all kind of Hall of Fame, but I've never seen a monument built to a team. Rule number two, we all have a role. We must do that role to the best of our ability so we don't jeopardize our goal of winning. Your role is cover kickoffs. I don't want to do that. I want to run the ball, but I understand, but that's not your role. Whatever role we have to do it to the best of our ability. I'm at the University of Notre Dame. You probably remember. We're ahead of Stanford 16-0, coached by Bill Walsh. We end up losing the game. I was devastated. You know why we lost it? Because as a leader, I stopped demanding the best everybody could be on a consistent basis. Your job as a leader is not to be well-liked, not to be popular. As Woody Hayes taught me, if you will need a friend, buy a dog. But if you're in a leadership role, your obligation to make them the very best they can be, and you have to have standards. And if you want to fail, you have the right to fail. Nobody has the right to cause other people to fail because you don't do everything to the very best of your ability. And I said, man, I am going to raise the standard. If I'm murdered tonight, the police won't even investigate it because you'll all be a suspect. We had a very physical practice. I had an All-American guard, Aaron Taylor. He was injured. He wasn't at practice. The second string left guard was going through the motions. His man made every play. The other 10 guys were playing their heart out with nothing to show for it. And I stopped practice. I said, left guard, what gives you the right to cause your teammates to fail? You want to fail, you have the right to fail. You do not have the right to cause other people to fail because you don't fulfill your obligation. You bring a child in the world, you join a spouse, you join a team, you join a business. You have obligation, responsibility to other people. You want to fail, you have the right to fail. You do not have the right to cause other people to fail, and I feel that way very strongly. Him and Holly couldn't give an answer. I said, go stand on the sideline and think about it. Third string left guard jumped in the huddle. I said, no, go play without a left guard. Players looked at me like I was crazy. I said, no, we'll play it. We break the huddle. We have the vacant left spot and defensive. What do? I said, act like we have one. Well, Rick Meyer takes the ball, gives the ball to Reggie Brooks, our tailback. Oliver Gibson comes through the vacant left spot, hits Reggie Brooks. As soon as he gets the ball, tremendous thud. Moment of silence. Reggie started to moan he couldn't see. Scares you. We turned his helmet around. He was okay and came back down. Ran another play, same result. Third play, I have open rebellion. What's wrong? What's wrong? We don't have left guard. I said, when'd you notice? I said, 3 plays ago. I said, we haven't had one all day. I'm tired of pretenders. I'm tired of imposters. I'm tired of impersonators. I said last Saturday we played with 8 players and 3 imposters. I'd rather have played with 8. Oh, we would have lost. But everybody would have said, wow, if we had 11 like them, nobody would beat us. We never lost again for our next 17 straight games. Our last 5 games, our average margin of victory is 14 points. The point's this, a commitment to excellence does not allow you to be an imposter, impersonator, or a pretender. You do everything to the very best of your ability with the time allotted. And as a leader, demand that of yourself. So you're going to ask yourself to do the right thing. You're going to ask yourself to do everything the best of your ability. The third rule is show people you care. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all. You're never going to meet anybody again that doesn't need a smile, a kind word, and encouragement. Everybody's got a problem. My wife and I are different as night and day. She said opposites attract and then attack. And she doesn't have much of a sense of humor, which scares me. Because a couple of months ago, she left me a note and said, Lou, I can't please everybody in the world, so I'm going to stop trying. I'm going to focus on pleasing one person a day, and today's not your day, and tomorrow doesn't look real promising either. So she done one interview in her life because it had to do with cancer. They said, what'd you learn from having cancer? She said, I learned how much my family loved me. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't love her anymore. We showed it. Why do we have to wait for somebody to have a catastrophe before we reach out? That's all you want. Get people who genuinely care. My wife said, how can you talk about caring about people with a bumper sticker on your car? I have a bumper sticker on the car. My wife's very religious, and we go to church on Sunday. She makes me park in the back of the parking lot so that nobody can see my bumper sticker. That bumper sticker merely said, Jesus loves you. Everybody else thinks you're an asshole. That's how I feel about those false handicaps. That's the only 3 rules you need. And that's a plan. To do the right thing, do everything best to your ability, and show people you care. That's all. There's a statue of me at Notre Dame. I guess they need a place for the pigeons to land. But don't look at the statue. Look at the pedestal. The 3 words, trust, commitment, and love. I didn't put them there. Notre Dame put them there. The players put them there because that was our core values. That's what we believe. And you don't need any more of a plan than that, whether you're talking about leading your life or whether you're talking about leading other people. Do the right thing. Do the best you can. Show people you care. Why? Because everybody asks 3 questions. If we understand everybody asks 3 questions, question number 1, can I trust you? Without trust, there could be absolutely no relationship. How do you expect to have a marriage if you can't trust each other? How do you expect to have a football team if they can't trust one another? How do you expect to have a business if they can't trust one another? How do you get trust? Do the right thing. That's all. If you do the right thing, you're always going to have trust. Second question everybody asks, are you committed to excellence? Do you want to be good? Oh, you can have all the slogans you want, but you send a message whether you're committed to excellence. Let me ask you this question. If you didn't go home, would anybody miss you, and why? If you didn't show up at work, would anybody miss you, and why? If your company ceased to go out of business, would anybody miss you, and why? See, the only people we miss are those that add value to other people's lives. The only ones that add value to other people's lives are those who are commitment to excellence, that can be trusted and care about other people. So the only way you can answer, are you committed to? I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you come up that parking lot, and I got to tell you this, everywhere I look at Trine, I look at the athletic facilities, the student center. How about this building? This used to be a church. How about the driveway? How beautiful it is, how clean everything is. It's a first-class environment. If you come here, you know right now Trine's totally committed to excellence in what they do. I also want to compliment you on 99.7 employment last year. I want to see that dumbass that couldn't get a job. It's amazing. That's impressive, I got to tell you. But it's just a commitment to excellence. And then the last question everybody asks is, hey, do you care about me? Do you care about me because I can run or throw? I go to Notre Dame. We have a quarterback named Steve Berline. Mike Kovaleski, as I said, was our captain. He'll remember this. Steve Berline's a 3-year starter at Notre Dame, owned all the passing records. And I sat down with him the first week. Now, this is how Steve remembers the conversation. I said, Steve, you own all the passing records. You're a 3-year starter. That's wonderful. I like a running quarterback. You aren't very fast, but I can live with that. He interrupted me and said, how slow do you think I am? I said, Steve, if you got in a race with a pregnant mother, the best you'd finish would be third. I said, that's not what bothers me, son. What bothers me, you threw 17 interceptions as a junior. I said, I make this commitment to you, Steve Berline. You will not throw 7 interceptions your senior year. He got all excited, said, that's great. Is it the way you run the routes or read the coverages? I said, no, when you get to 6, you ain't playing anymore. That's all, not covered. But those trust and commitment and love. I'm in South Carolina that first year. We're 0-11. It's about June 10th. I have the whole team in summer school. I find out at 5 o'clock the 2 players from the previous team were arrested for selling drugs that afternoon. They weren't on the team, but they were on last year's team. I had the whole team in summer school. They ate dinner at 6. I wanted a team meeting at 7. I went in that team meeting. I was so mad. You know why I was mad? I was with them 18 months, and they still didn't trust me to tell me that was going on. You think of the negative publicity our football program was going to get, the university was going to get the next day? And I had the whole team in there, and everybody has an assigned seat, freshman in the back, sophomore, junior, and senior move up each year. And I'm talking to the seniors. Why didn't you trust me? I was mad. 18 months, they didn't. I don't care whether they like. Why didn't they trust me? Because if they don't trust me, we don't have a relationship. Nobody said anything. Finally, a sophomore got up, Jonathan Martin, I'll never forget. He said, Coach, I trust you. He said, I believe this team trusts you. Looked around the room, said, a lot of my teammates I can't trust. You lie, you cheat, you steal, you do drugs. You don't give a damn about anybody but yourself. You don't care about being good. You don't care about anything but yourself. And Andre Goodman played 11 years in the NFL, was a junior, got up and said, I agree with it. He said, I go shower, I got to lock my locker, you'll pilfer everything I have. You don't give a damn about anybody but yourself. You don't care about working. You don't care about winning. So I had the manager give him a sheet of paper. I hadn't played. I was shocked. Problem was they didn't trust one another. They weren't committed to excellence, and a lot of people didn't care about one another. I wasn't ready for that, because around me, that was fine. But they knew. The players knew. So I had him give me a sheet of paper. I said, I want you to write down everything you've done, you regret, and bring it back tomorrow. It'll be confidential. But I want you to give it some thought. Next day at 2 o'clock when summer school ended, players came in. I said, follow me. We went out to the practice field. Now, South Carolina had tradition. Every time they won a big game on the road, they put a little tombstone, date, the name, the score, the opponent. Wasn't a very big graveyard. There just a couple of them there. That morning, I had a tombstone delivered blank, this big. We dug a hole, put every one of those sheets of paper in, and burned it, covered up with dirt, and put the tombstone. We made a commitment to one another. If we had a teammate we couldn't trust, wasn't committed, and didn't care, they would come to me, because that's what our program is going to be about. We're going to have a group of people we can trust, and a group of people who are totally committed, and a group of people who care. As I said, second greatest turnaround in the history of football. When I talk about having a vision, about having a plan, it's that simple. See, there isn't any such thing as magic in anything you do. I like to do a simple little trick for you, just like any other newspaper. You have front page for people who want to read the news. You have the comics for people who can't read. You have the sports page for people who want to read the sports. And we have the editorial page for people who can't think. But it's not real complicated, but you have to have a faith and a belief. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to take 2 people, it can be anybody in this world. Take somebody you love, admire, and respect. Take somebody you got a problem with. Put these 3 questions on both people. Can you trust them? Yes or no? I used to do this with a phone book when I was younger, but can you trust them, yes or no? Are they committed to excellence, yes or no? I guarantee you, person you admire and respect, you just said yes to all three questions. Person you got a problem with, you pinpointed the problem. Either you can't trust them, they aren't committed, or they don't care. See, there isn't any such thing as magic, although everybody's looking. Now, remember I told you one of my goals growing up was to learn to do magic. I just do that not to, but it is so important to keep life simple. When I stood up here, I knew 10%, if you wouldn't remember 10% of what it said, but I wished I had a blackboard here where I could write different things down. I didn't know I was going to have this many people. I came to talk to the 50 students here, but it's not complicated. Having a vision where you want to go and a plan how you get there. Now, a couple other things are important is you have to lead by example. You have to hold people accountable for the choices they make. See, ladies and gentlemen, wherever we are today, good or bad because of choices we make. You choose to do drugs, drop out of school, join a gang, get tattoos from head to bottom. You're choosing to have difficulty in life, and don't blame me. Well, the minute we start deciding that it's our choices that's going to determine our future, and if I'm an inspiration to anybody, it's because I'm not very talented, and nobody could have been born into any poorer circumstances or environment than me. But this is a great country, and it's about choices we make. I've been blessed to have people care about me and guide me. How did I come up with those three rules? I'm coach at Ohio State. We won the national championship. I go to William and Mary as head coach. The problem at William and Mary, we had more Marys than we had Williams. But we played at that time North Carolina, Wake Forest, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Army, Navy, Syracuse. And my first year, I come from Ohio State. Boy, I'm going to be a Woody Hayes. The first year was an absolute disaster. So I sat down without much confidence, and I took a group of people that were very successful, players, coaches, teachers, business people, and a group of people that seemed to have talent, but they were unsuccessful. Same area, athletes, teachers, coaches, business people. I got successful people and unsuccessful. What's the difference? I went through it. Age? No. There's old and young in both. Sex? Male, female in both. Caucasian, Afro-Americans, Chinese, didn't matter. There wasn't any difference. I only found three differences between the two. The group you could trust did the right thing. You could trust them with your life. If they told them they're going to do something, you could count on it. This group over here, even though they're very talented, they screwed everything up in this world, and you couldn't trust them if you turned your back on them. So I said, okay, we're going to come up with rule number one, go and do what's right. The other thing, this group over here was committed to excellence in everything they did. Why is it the people that are always the busiest end up doing the most things in the community? Because they're going to get it done. These people over here cut every damn corner you could possibly find. Incidentally, I use 3 words profanity. Hell, ass, and damn, and they're all in the Bible. So I feel comfortable with that. But they cut every corner in the world. And the other thing, this group cared about other people. They walked in the room, right to, there you are, how can I help you? This group walked in the room, right to, hey, here I am, look at me, it's all about me. No, it's not. And that's how I came up with those 3 rules. And I've never needed a 4th rule, and they've never let me down. And whether you're leading the football team or whether you're leading your own personal life, and maybe leading your own personal life is the most important leadership you need. If you ask me what's important, have a vision where you want to go, and a plan how you're going to get there, and the plan is just those 3 rules. It's that simple. Now, when I stood up here, I've been here for about 56 minutes. Now, I love to have a question and answer period, and I usually do, but the reason I don't is usually people don't ask a question. I don't want to ask a question. That's a dumb, stupid question. There's no such thing as a dumb, stupid question. I'm going to take 3 questions so you know we aren't going to be here all night. Who has a question? Just 3 questions. Yes, ma'am. How do I think culture plays into vision? Well, I think this. The culture is what you really believe in. It's the first thing I told the athletes when they're freshmen. You'll become us, we will not become you. I feel the same way about immigration. Come here legally. I don't care where you came from. I care about why you came here. Come here legally, but come here to become me. You know, I don't want to learn Spanish, and I don't want to cheer for your soccer team, and I don't give a damn when your holidays are. If it's that great, stay there. Come here to become me. That's all. It's not complicated. So I think you create your culture by saying, what are our core values? What holds a family together? What holds a business together? What holds a team together? What holds a country together are our core values. See, you didn't have to like one another on the team. You don't have to like the same music, but you must share the same core values. Our core values was the trust, the commitment, and the love. Great question. Two more. Yes, sir. I think that's a very good question. The question was, did it put any credence into different schools that talk about academics but don't do anything for the athlete? One thing I'm proud of, I'm the only coach to ever win the national championship and the award for graduating 100% of the football team at the same time. I feel this, and I feel this way sincerely. When somebody came to our school, I felt the very bare minimum they should expect is the best coaching and the best teaching in the world. That's our obligation. Now, football is important, but I didn't feel I ever taught football. I felt I taught life. And this idea of, well, let's pay athletes, that's where we go wrong. Let's give them an education, but they're there to get an education in football or any other sport. You're going to learn a lot of valuable lessons in it, but that's not the reason you're in school. I think you ought to be paid if you work for Walmart or McDonald's, but not if you play athletics. But the problem is they're now paying coaches a god dog butt $6 million a year. I go to Notre Dame, Father Joy said we have a policy here. The head coach is not allowed to make more than the president of Notre Dame. That's all right. Until he said the president's a priest that took the vow of poverty. That was most I ever made there. I started out $95,000. I gave them $75,000 because I had 3 children in school. Free tuition didn't kick into your 5th year. But I think what they're doing about North Carolina and things like it's ridiculous. We're not being fair to people. They're there to get an education, and for us not to give them that opportunity to do so. But if you follow those 3 rules, if you care about them, you're going to make sure they're prepared for life and they leave there with a degree and an education. As I said, you have 2 educations you should receive in college. An education on how to make a living, an education on how to make a life. And they are different. But it bothers me where we start thinking about football or athletics because a lot of people come to the games. We forget the whole value of a university, to educate children and prepare them for life. Very good. One last question, then I want to close it with a thought. Who else has a question on anything? Yes. You better speak loud, honey. I got to tell you. I'm not sure if I could go back to everybody said negative things or didn't believe in me. You were right. That would be my first. I agree with you. You know, it's like I would get a nasty letter at Notre Dame, and I'd take it and write and say, "Dear Jim, just want you to know there's some stupid idiots writing this letter and signing your name. I know you'd never do that. You're far too smart, but you got to find out who it is and put a stop to it because he's hurting your academic reputation." Man, but no, I think you don't ever get ahead of anybody by trying to get even with them. And, you know, we have a lot of times where life's not fair. I go to the University of Arkansas. I'm there 7 years. 7 bowl bids, 4 top 10 finishes. I want to remind you, everything I'm telling you is absolutely true. Graduated athletes, ran on this program, had the best won-loss record in the history of Arkansas. The second best win-loss record in the history of the Southwest Conference, only to Dare Royal at Texas. 7 years, they rewarded me by firing me. They wouldn't tell me why. Out of the blue. I didn't even suspect it. Came home from church on Sunday. Frank Burroughs called me to see you. Want your resignation? Why? Best interest of the program. I was so mad. I wanted to go to the media. I wanted to blast everybody. I wanted to get even with them. My wife said, no, we know what we did. We'll move on. And I never said a negative word. I knew where all the bodies were buried. I could have went to the media and blasted everybody, but we moved on. 2 years later, Notre Dame's looking for a football coach. They called Frank Broyles. They said, we're looking at a lot of coaches and looking at Lou Holtz, but we wondered what happened there that you fired him. Frank Broyles said, I listened to somebody tell me something that wasn't true who was on the board of trustees. It was not true at all. He said, the dumbest thing I did was let Lou Holtz go. He said, I'm trying to hire him back, which he was. He sent me a blank contract. I said, Coach, I was there once. He said, I listened to somebody and I'm sorry. But he went on to tell Notre Dame, he said, I know Lou Holtz has always wanted to coach Notre Dame. If you can hire Lou Holtz, don't even talk to anybody else. You'll never regret it. I end up at Notre Dame because the guy that fired me. In addition to that, I've made a commitment to Frank Broyles' family and to Frank Broyles that I will give the eulogy at his funeral, but he may outlive me, but if not. But the point I make, there was so much negative, but you just move on. You don't ever get ahead of anybody by getting even with them. And people are going to bitch and moan and complain. They're going to say nasty things about you. I want to tell you, if you live your life where people can trust you, know you're committed, know you care, it ain't going to bother you. But I'll tell you, more importantly, your self-image goes up. There's two types of people, those that lift people up and those that pull people down. I used to be so insanely jealous of my wife. I never had a date in high school. I never went to prom. Everybody going to prom, I'm playing the truck, etc. And so I felt very insecure, and I married a beautiful woman. And in 53 years, she'd never give me a reason to be jealous of her. But we'd go to a cocktail party, she'd be talking to another man who's better built, better looking, more intelligent. I think, why would she rather be with him than with me? And because I'm so insecure, I would then try to criticize her unfairly, trying to pull her self-confidence down till she'd reach a point where she would think she was lucky to have me as a wife. Our obligation is to lift them up, to believe. I tell my wife every day, I love you, and you can't do a doggone thing about it. Yeah. But I used to pull her down. It's lifting people up. And you can't lift people up if you aren't confident in yourself. Their problem was with me. I'm so insecure. But if you follow those three rules, your self-confidence comes back tremendously. My time's up. I really appreciate you to be here. And to the Lou Holtz people who took the class, I really look forward to coming back and teaching this class every semester that you have it. The things I shared with you, the things I believe in, as I say, is never let me down, whether it be in my personal life. I make 5 assumptions about you in the audience. I assume you want to be successful professionally. I assume you want to be successful in your personal life. I assume you want to feel needed. I'm going to assume you want to feel secure about your future. I'm going to assume you want to go to heaven. And those 3 rules will enable you to follow all 5 of those things. It's been a delightful group. I leave you with this last thought. Want to be happy for an hour? Eat a steak. Want to be happy for a day? Play golf. Want to be happy for a week? Go on a cruise. Going on a cruise like being in jail, except you have a chance to drown, but if that's what you want. Want to be happy for a month? Buy a new car. Want to be happy for a year? Win the lottery. Want to be happy for a lifetime? Add value to other people's lives so you would be missed if you didn't show up. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Coach, for being with us this morning. Thank all of you all for attending. Coach, as much as anything, we thank you for your trust and your confidence in Trine University and for certainly all of your leadership and support of the Lou Holtz Leadership Institute. Thank all of you for being here with us this morning. We hope you continue to watch our website for future events here at the First Center in the coming year and the coming months. We appreciate you so much for being here. We'd like to ask for those members of the inaugural class of the Lou Holtz Leadership Institute, if they would join us up on stage, please, for a picture with Coach. Thank you all again. Have a great day, and thank you for coming.